Mike Sempervive here. It is Wrestling Observer Live. Here with you every single day, live Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, 7 p.m. GMT, Sundays at 6 p.m. Eastern, 10 GMT for those of you listening internationally. It's Friday. You know what that means? Open phones. I don't know how that differs really than any other radio show that we do during the week, but it's a theme or something. I don't know. It's radio show canon. These are the rules written in the scripture. Talking Head shows, Fridays, open lines. So 1-800-878-PLAY is the number, 1-800-878-7529, or you can get a hold of me on Twitter as well, at Sempervive, and let the curating commence. If you need some ideas for things to talk about, NXT from this week, things are all falling into place for TakeOver, 2 more title matches, so leaves only one, but we already know what that is, so we can talk about it anyway. Boss Man yesterday, what do you say, mark my words, or remember what I said, or whatever it was about Tomohiro Ishii being the main event at Madison Square Garden against Jay White? What'd you think about that? Great match. Amazing moment for a guy who became a big-time star during the expansion era of New Japan, and he's got tons of fans from the UK and the United States who are going to see him that weekend, but do you need one of the big three in there? We can talk about that. There's WWE proper, the WrestleMania build. If you have any more thoughts that haven't already been beaten to death on Kofi or the Women's Three-Way or Big Dave, you can do that as well. Plus, there's tons of news from all over the world. Frank Shamrock allegedly does not believe old dogs can do new tricks. There are title matches in Japan all over the place. Shows how much WrestleMania weekend has changed business internationally, as Japan's got a bunch of heat-up stuff leading into a lot of people leaving and going to make a lot of money in the United States. WWE Network began airing WCW Thunders from the Russo-Ferrari era. Has anybody seen any of those? NCAA Men's Wrestling Tournament? Ton of stuff. Floor is yours. It's Friday. 1-800-878-PLAY. Back on the show, Mike Sempervive here with you, Wrestling Observer Live. I did a little poll over on my Twitter, at Sempervive. I asked the question that if you do Tomohiro and Jay White at Madison Square Garden, which would require Tomohiro Ishii defeating Okada during the semifinals of the New Japan Cup, that it also frees you up to do the Briscoes against Tanahashi and Okada in a rematch, as well as Naito and Kota Ibushi in a match that's purely to make people happy, even though we've already seen that before as well, too. And those two trying to kill each other. What you could also see is Tanahashi and Okada against Naito and Ibushi if you wanted to as well. But I asked, where would everybody stand with that type of decision? Really focusing on Ishii and Jay White up top. Do you like it? Do you hate it? Or do you really want to give me a third option and mix it up? Because people just hate 2 options. And I had to do something different than Boss Man anyway. So I gave you 3. As it stands right now, it's about 64% that they like it. 36% that either they hate it or they want to mix it up. Alan Farrell seemed to be all about that decision, really liked that one. And you could see why logically that would actually make a ton of sense. But I think for some people it makes a ton of sense in that way that, like, the draw at the ROH 17th anniversary pay-per-view between Jay Lethal and Matt Taven made a lot of sense. It made a lot of sense, and it was probably going to be really well done. It told the story to get you to somewhere. But not everybody really liked it. Probably not everybody's really going to like this. Although no matter what the decision is going to be, not everyone's going to like it. A lot of that's got to do with Jay White. And a lot of people are thinking, well, if you put Ishii in that match, it's a dead giveaway Jay White's going to win. Is it? I don't know. It's a very polarizing issue. But I did say it was open lines. And we'll talk about, I'm sure, New Japan here kind of coming up. As well as NXT TakeOver, really good NXT that took place this week, leading into TakeOver next week. The last one leading into WrestleMania, where everything is now set for for NXT TakeOver in New York. But I'm sure Jim in Virginia doesn't want to talk about either one of those things. I'm guessing he wants to talk about women's wrestling, but we'll see. Jim, how are you today?
Hey, Mike, how you doing today?
Not too bad. What's happening?
Just wanted to know, AEW, are they in negotiations with a big network, or have they got a deal to come on TV before too long?
Look at you. You swerve me. I don't know. I tell you what, the upfronts that are coming up for TV, when it comes to all of these networks and cable and all that sort of stuff, that's going to give us an idea, because if they have signed on with somebody, it's going to want to be touted for the fall season, and the network's going to want to tout it for the fall season. So we'll know if it's coming from Turner, because I guess theirs are coming up relatively soon. I'm not sure exactly how that works. They happen at some point over the summer, obviously, to lead you into the fall season. So no matter who it is, it's going to be announced. But once it's announced, it's going to be out there and everybody's going to know. And right now, the only thing you can really kind of do is speculate on what's going on. And there was a lot of buzz about it, and a lot of buzz about a lot of AEW stuff a month or two ago when everything was rolled out for Double or Nothing. But since that time, everything's kind of quieted down a little bit. Everybody seems to be signed who's going to sign with them. And, yes, you get somebody like Sadie Gibbs or somebody like that who pops up every once in a while here and latches on with them. But for right now, it's just a really quiet period until TV is announced.
Well, I heard a rumor going around now is that Triple H has been is back wanting to make a all women's wrestling show. You heard anything about that?
Jim, I want to thank you very much for the call.
Okay,
I haven't, but it would not actually surprise me in the least. I mean, not in the least. Another Evolution pay-per-view later on this year, even though nothing is announced. They could do that, make it just a pure WWE Network event. Sure, you could do that. You could do a specialized show which ties in, make it like a Clash of the Champions sort of thing, because you have NXT UK and you have Toni Storm and Rhea Ripley and whoever you're going to have over there. You can do a show maybe periodically that brings everybody together. You're going to have one traveling pair of tag team champions or one traveling set of tag team champions, so you could do something like that. We'll have to see. The more content WWE can create to take it away from somebody else, they're probably going to do so. Going to move now to Chris in Houston. Chris, how are you? Chris, are you there?
I am here.
Hey, what's happening?
I don't know if it's just me or if it's something I've just noticed that it doesn't really feel like they're promoting WrestleMania all that well this year. There's nothing that's really going on with the show that's got me excited. Like, compared to last year, at least they had, even as stupid as it was, how is John Cena, is he going to get The Undertaker involved? But it just seems like the show's got nothing for it. I'm really not looking forward to the Mania this year.
Now, how big of a fan are you? Are you a heavy watcher, like week after week, or are you more of a casual fan, catches the big things and gets excited for Mania?
I had been a fairly heavy watcher up until the Crown Jewel show, and then I've just kind of been watching the pay-per-views and anytime they promote anything big for the weekly show.
Oh, okay. Well, not to play 20 questions with you, but was it because of Crown Jewel, or was it just because of general fatigue, I guess, with the product?
A little bit of both. The Crown Jewel, the whole Saudi Arabia stuff just really kind of turned me off, and then I got sick and tired of hearing, especially the best in the world, the tournament to crown the best in the world. Just the general fatigue of it just kind of got to me a bit. I still enjoy most of the product, just it's gotten a bit too much.
Well, Chris, I think that, to me, that's the time, and Survivor Series traditionally is the time where you wanted to start to build, for WrestleMania. And even in times where things have gone quite, askew from where they were 30 years ago, it was still something around that time that they would build towards a John Cena thing or an Undertaker thing or lay the seeds towards something. And they've done an awful job of that. They really have. And look how this thing's been built up. Look how many matches we've had, just announced last week. leading in, and we had this problem with the last pay-per-view. Things weren't announced until late. Everything seems really scrambled, and it seems like a lack of focus. And it seems like everything is just a day late and a dollar short right now. It feels like sometimes with this build. Now, once it gets to be WrestleMania, all that stuff's out the window. It really probably isn't going to matter. Ronda Rousey, that match is going to get an exceptional response with Becky Lynch and Charlotte. Same thing with Kofi and Daniel Bryan. Same thing with Brock Lesnar and Seth Rollins, and anything that you throw in there with Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns and Drew is pretty damn good and a really nice addition for me to that show. So, once WrestleMania actually comes and it's, 18-match, 47-hour show begins, I think everything's going to be all good. But I hope they take what happened this year, which has not been good, and learn from it and change things up and become a lot more focused next year.
Exactly. Just without any of the proper build or the storylines going in, it just feels like another show, which that's not what Mania should be.
Absolutely not. And Chris, I really want to thank you very much for the call. If anybody else wants to jump in here, you can. 1-800-878-PLAY, 1-800-878-7529. One of the things that you don't hear enough of on this show, as well as from other shows on the site, are attaboys for J.J. Williams. He needs all of them. He went to a show last night in Sanford, the NXT show. Robbie E. debuted as Robert Strauss. And Velveteen Dream defeated Matt Riddle in a preview of their match coming up at TakeOver. Let you know what JJ thought about that. Very effusive in his praise. Give me a call. Wrestling Observer Live. I've been sitting here all break wondering how JJ Williams could get more attaboys. And I know how he could do it for me. He could talk Stokely Hathaway into talking Steve Corino, into playing Eastside Cheddar Boys' Oh Boy as his theme music one night. Just one night. That would be magical. JJ goes to a lot of those NXT shows. Thursday night, Sanford, Florida. Robbie E. debuted as Robert Strauss, manager. But the big thing was the main event. 2 weeks away from TakeOver, Velveteen Dream defeated Matt Riddle to retain the NXT North American title. JJ wrote, it was an excellent match. This is a quote. Excellent match that set a high standard for their TakeOver New York bout. Riddle hit Dream with everything in his arsenal, including the Bro Stone, but nothing could put Dream away. Riddle had Dream down with elbow strikes and was about to lock in the Bro Mission before he was rolled back for the 3 count. This was my personal NXT house show match of the year thus far. So good stuff. And no surprise, it's probably going to be good stuff in 2 weeks. And all sorts of things fell into place for the TakeOver show at Barclays. Adam Cole is going to face Johnny Gargano for the vacant NXT Heavyweight Championship. Dream and Riddle for the North American title. After the show last night, after the 5-way, William Regal sent out a tweet that read, last night, Super King of Bros nearly had Velveteen beaten in the Fatal 5-way when Riddle came up short. I want to see what happens when Riddle and Dream, easy for me to say, while Riddle came up short. I want to see what happens when Riddle and Dream compete one-on-one for the NXT North American title at NXT TakeOver New York. I realize now I really didn't have to read that. Riddle had Dream in the Bro Mission near the end of the Fatal 5-way, but Adam Cole pulled the referee out of the ring before Dream could submit. Aleister Black then came in, hit the Black Mass on Riddle. Dream used the Dream Valley Driver on Black, then went up to the top rope. Ricochet jumped up there with him, and Hurricane Rana Dream onto Black and Cole, who were on the floor. A amazing visual, just brutal, which was a different kind of brutal than earlier on in the match when they did this whole suplex spot where one guy was suplexed, but all 4 went back, and it didn't look all that good and just really looked risky and dangerous for no reason. But this one was really good. I guess because it's Ricochet, and he's the only person I can say that about. Him and, like, Casey Catanzaro now. I guess just fly around and do whatever. I mean, it's good. It's like Jack Hart's or Jack Evans is another one like that. Teddy Hart, not so much. Jack Evans, yes. Just let them do whatever they want. I believe they'll land and be fine. They're made of rubber. And when he landed kind of like crouched on the floor. And then he went back up to the top rope, used a shooting star press, and landed right on Riddle's knees. Just ow. It started to pin him, but then Cole slid in from behind, used the last shot, knee strike to the back of Ricochet's head, got the win. So he gets the title match with Gargano, 2 out of 3 falls match for the vacant NXT title, TakeOver Brooklyn. So with all that, main show matches are Gargano and Cole, 2 out of 3 falls. Velveteen Dream and Matt Riddle. NXT Women's Championship, Shayna Baszler against Io Shirai, Bianca Belair, and Kairi Sane in a fatal 4-way. NXT UK Championship, Pete Dunne against Walter. Arguably could be the match of the weekend right there. And the NXT Tag Team Championship match, the War Raiders defending against the winners of the 2019 Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. The finals of that show were taped earlier this month. For the next 20 seconds, 15 seconds, I'd say, cover up your ears, turn off your radio, fast forward through. This is a spoiler for next week's NXT show if you have not already heard somehow. Okay, do it now. Ricochet and Aleister Black win the tournament, defeating the Forgotten Sons, Wes Blake, Steve Cutler. Ricochet got the win there. They are on to face the War Raiders for the NXT Tag Team Championship. So all that. So it was a really good show with all of that stuff on there. Basically, it was the Fatal 5-Way, which carried it. It's pretty awesome. What wasn't really awesome, I don't think, was the Tomasso Ciampa video package. It was an unpopular opinion, probably. Not that it wasn't awesome either, that it was well done and very emotional, except for, that was the thing. I wasn't ready for it. Sitting there holding that tiny baby. And you can just look at him, even without the dramatic tint of the film and the music in the background and the slow motions and the doctor's office. And you just look at him and tell that he's like in that dark place that like that type of injury of this magnitude will take you. Made far worse by the fact that he just reached performing on the highest level. And he's had a lot of these injuries. In a business where having a lot of injuries will really kind of screw up your chances in it. And they bring him up. 3 surgeries, 1 knee, both shoulders. And now it's easing pain off his neck so he doesn't get paralyzed with the wrong bump. And say he's out for at least a year. And I guess because of that, it was probably a good time to show it. Just a nice outro to this part of his story as he's on the shelf. I just didn't really want to see it. Not now. Too much to think about. And hopefully he does come back, but it was really, I know he's been banged up, but when they kind of played it out, he kind of showed it, it was like, oh, man. Hate to see that. There's so much of that story still left to go. A lot of stories still need to be told with the New Japan Cup coming up. We'll get into that. If you want to join me, you can, 1-800-878-PLAY, 1-800-878-7529. On Twitter as well, at Sempervive. Probably go through some of the responses I've got when it came to that poll that I've put up. When it comes to Jay White and Ishii at the Garden, and what that could open up for the undercard. We'll go back to the phones now. I don't know if this is a mistype up here on the screen, but in San Diego, I don't know if this is supposed to be Moose. It's either that or it's Mose. Not Mos Def, but Mose in San Diego. Are you Mose or Moose?
It's actually Moses.
Moses. That's even.
I'm doing fantastic, Mike. How are you?
I'm making it, my man. What's on your mind?
I heard that. I got 2 questions for you. You were just talking about the NXT house show where they did Riddle versus Dream. Looked like Riddle gave it everything, but still couldn't pull it out. In 2 weeks, do you think it would be too early for him to lose in a singles match? And is there any truth that Garza Jr. and Swerve Strickland have finally signed to NXT?
I thought Strickland was signed to NXT. I thought he was.
I've been hearing it for like a month, but it just keeps popping up like he just signed yesterday or something.
I don't know. That we'll have to see. I don't know. Maybe Bossman with his Defy Connects and Matt Farmer and all those guys are a crew of Strickland who can let us know about that one. But I thought he was actually signed. I thought it was one of those things, or at least like the ACH thing, where it was like it's been done in principle or was like kind of done for so long that I just took it for granted. So I think he's actually there. When it comes to Garza Jr., the only thing I remember is him taking the deal or whatever it was, or talking to them on MLW's dime while he was up here or whatever it was. But I think he was kind of on the way there as well too. So who knows if those guys end up popping up in the stands and happen to be there at some point during NXT during WrestleMania weekend, then popping up on screen.
Yeah, I'm thinking maybe one of them's going to show up. They got to show Kushida. He's been there forever now. Well, at least it feels that way. But no sign of him, no talk of him, no nothing.
Oh, but he absolutely could. And I tell you what, you talked about, is it too early for Dream to lose the title? No, because if Riddle wins it, there's a lot of people Riddle can face. But if you actually had Kushida and Riddle go back at each other, I can be completely happy with that matchup. And I think it's a great way to introduce Kushida and not have that visual of him being so small, because he is a significantly smaller guy than I think a lot of people are maybe, at least he's going to look like that in that environment, I believe. So if you put him up against Riddle right off the bat and it's for the title, even if it's not for the title, I think you reduce that a little bit.
I think so too. I think Riddle and Kushida could be great. I mean, I don't know of any other better way to start it other than maybe against Gargano, but who knows? He may be the man in 2 weeks. We'll see.
That's true. And Moses, I want to thank you very much for the call.
Thank you, brother. Take it easy.
You too. Yeah, Mos. A lot of New Japan stuff. We can talk about it coming up a little bit after the break here. ROH Festival of Honor has been announced. Hulu Theater, Madison Square Garden. Speaking of the Garden and what could happen there, they got a meet and greet with the Kingdom, 12:30 on April 5th. The thing starts at 10 a.m. Got a meet and greet with PCO and Brody King, as well as Jay Lethal will be there as well, too. So that, Caristico and Sobrano Jr. are going to be coming in to work ROH as well. All sorts of things be happening. We'll get into more of it when we get back from break. Wrestling Observer Live.
You are listening to Wrestling Observer Live with Brian Alvarez and Mike Sempervive on the Sports Byline Broadcasting Network.
Bad Street USA. Wrestling Observer Live, Mike Sempervive back here with you. No Brian Alvarez today. He'll be back on Sunday. I'm going to read this off ShareDog.com. Former Ultimate Fighting Championship champion Frank Shamrock is under investigation for animal cruelty, according to Dallas television outlet WFAA. The 46-year-old Shamrock is accused of abandoning his mother's dog Zelda in a pickup truck left at Love Field Airport in Dallas earlier this month. Police believe the dog was alone in the truck for at least 5 days starting on March 2nd. For his part, Shamrock initially did not deny any of the allegations. In a telephone interview with Dallas television outlet WFAA, he said, quote, "They can charge me with whatever. I will show up. It is what it is. I'm not hiding in any way. It's an unfortunate and terrible thing. I'm an animal lover, and I ran away crying," unquote. The longtime California resident claims that he had only been in Dallas to help his ailing mother move out of her home and had tried to find someone to take the dog. In a public Facebook post on March 2nd, Shamrock wrote, quote, "Need help? Can anyone take a dog today in Dallas, Texas? My mom has to give away her dogs as she can't care for them anymore," unquote. Shamrock claims his mother had 2 dogs, one of which he was able to place in another home, but maintains that he was unable to do so for Zelda. Quote, "It's an old dog. No one wants a 6.5, 7-year-old dog," unquote, Shamrock said. He tied the dog up, left some food and water, and returned to California. According to the WFAA report, Dallas Animal Control now has custody of the dog, whose future is uncertain, and Dallas police are considering filing charges against the former MMA star. Shamrock stated that if charged, he would return to Texas to face those charges. On Thursday evening, Shamrock appeared to change his tune on Instagram with a tag from Simi Valley, California. Shamrock responds to a WFAA TV report with, quote, "This is hashtag fake news." At ABC News, edited to create a story. Very sad. Rebecca Lopez, you should be ashamed of yourself. I am not being investigated, and only took the call to help bring hashtag awareness to hashtag animal cruelty and hashtag elder abuse. Funny how you don't report all the facts. All is capitalized. Just the names that create headlines. Hashtag share the love, not hate. Hashtag check facts. Hashtag speak the truth. Thumbs down. White thumb. I don't know. I'm not sure if you use hashtag fake news and very sad and lots of hashtags for other things, including share the love, not hate, when you really feel like you be hating through that Instagram post. I don't know. Guess we'll have to see where that goes. I was talking about New Japan earlier on, the Tomohiro Ishii and all that sort of stuff. I like that idea. Came up with it. I'm saying it. And even if you wanted to mix up some of the stuff underneath, I'd be okay with it. But I'm not sure if, like I said earlier on, you can make the case for Tomohiro and Jay White up top and how it makes a lot of sense. And how you can get away with doing it. You don't offend the Japanese because you don't have one of the big three losing over there. It makes sense in that you have your next breakout, or what is right now your big international non-Japanese star, Jay White, standing on top of the world. He just beat your other one in Will Ospreay. So we know Jay White. There's no question about it. He's there, at least until Kenny Omega comes back around. He's there. So him winning at Madison Square Garden makes a ton of sense. Plus that clears up Tanahashi and Okada to get a victory against the Briscoes, or to battle the Briscoes. Hopefully to have a great match no matter what. Or with Naito, or with Ibushi. However you want to put those guys against each other. But a lot of people think, well, you're just kind of bastardizing everything. It's not a big enough match. You need one of the big three in there. And forget about Naito. You don't even need Naito in there. You need Okada or Tanahashi. And really, you probably need Okada. Some people will be saying that. But if you put Okada in there, then what happens? Do you have him get beat again by Jay White? The first match was short. It was shorter at the Dome. You can have Okada push a little bit further, come up short. At least those would be the thoughts of somebody who wouldn't want to see the belt come off of Jay White because you think it's too early. There's another school of thought. Taking it off him now, would it really hurt him that much? Especially what's supposed to be the ultimate moment for New Japan's expansion so far, at least, working with Ring of Honor at Madison Square Garden. Some comments from off of Twitter. B. Van Buren, nothing would give me greater pleasure than watching Ishii beat the ass out of Jay White for 20 minutes, but Tanahashi's earned the main event at Madison Square Garden. Chris Sands, don't like the Briscoes against Tanahashi and Okada. Happy with the other two, though. Give the Briscoes KES or GOD. Well, the GOD's got something to do. They got more initials. They got PCO and Brody King. BJ Bethel, I like if she beats White. Or a couple of those. Percy Chugs, too early to do another Naito versus Ibushi match. We may as well save that for the G1 Dallas show. Okada and Tanahashi against the Briscoes would be underwhelming, and Ishii doesn't need to do another gatekeeper title match. Okada beats Jay at Madison Square Garden. Alan Farrell liked it, though. And I like Alan Farrell. And I got to hear his show over Pro Wrestling Torch, where he runs down the history of Irish wrestling, which led into that over-the-top show, Scrapper Mania 5, I believe it was, in National Stadium. Jordan Devlin defeated Walter. Supposed to be awesome. Both the match and I'm sure Alan's show, and I want to hear it. I'm not just saying that because he agrees with me. This is the big thing I like about this. If there is a chance that the crowd's annoyance about Jay manifests itself as bad heat, having beloved Ishii as his opponent helps negate that. They'll just be 10,000. Ooh, wait. 100,000? 10? No, just 10,000% behind him. Of course, the problem with that is, what if Jay White wins? Do you want to have the cascade of boos going off? I guess you're going to have that anyway. It's interesting, too. One thing nobody's really talked about is having Jay White win over whoever it is. There's going to be a specter of cascading boos, whether it be Okada or Tanahashi or, in this case, Ishii. But what if that next challenger comes out? And it's a big enough name and it's a big enough shock to the system. Will that be enough? What do you think about that? Who do you think it could be? And I'm not talking Kenny Omega here, too. I'm talking about who else could it be? What else could they do? What's a name that hasn't been around? What's something that they could do? It's always possible they could do that at the end of that show. Because I don't think that Jay White and Gedo, I could be wrong, would be putting the boots to anybody to end the Madison Square Garden show. Be interested to see how that works if Jay White ends up winning. They have something after that. DJ Convoy, I think Western fans will probably allow for it, but White has specifically got the better of Okada and Tanahashi over and over again. It has to fall to one of them to do him in. Aaron Oster. Actually, I forgot what Aaron said about this. Hold on. Give me 1 second on this as I spin back on my Twitter feed here. Jonathan Strauss, I like both singles pairings, but I have no interest in the Briscoes against Tanahashi and Okada. Not sure there's a tag pairing big enough for both of them on that show. Kevin Marshall, they'll probably take on somebody from the Kingdom or something like that in a showcase match. At least talking about the Briscoes. I'm not trying to be flippant, but with Tanahashi, all you need is an entrance and his presence, no matter who he faces. Aaron Oster, what he had was, I got it, Briscoes against Evil and Sonata, White against Tanahashi, Naito against Ibushi, and Okada versus Liger, and what he would believe would be a first-time singles match. Not bad. That's not bad at all. And Evil and Sonata, I do wonder where they're going to place on this show. I wonder where Goto's going to place on this show. I wonder how important that Honor Rumble is going to be. Because I don't think it's going to be comedy. I think it's going to mean something. It's just a matter of how much it's going to mean. What else we got here? White shouldn't be losing the title, and this is A. Clark, Commander Clark. White shouldn't be losing the title, so I don't feel the need to blow an Okada match, especially since the ROH title should be the actual main event. The crowd will be into Ishii, even if they know he won't win, and a Tanahashi-Okada tag team in MSG would be epic. Nicholas Ingracia. I probably butchered your name there. Mr. Chico Beans. This is his Twitter handle. I can't speak for everyone, but Ishii bought my ticket. If he was in the main, I'd be more than happy. Carl Stern. I don't know what a Jay White is, but I'd have the Mongolian Stomper run in and kick everyone in the mouth, and then have heel Bob Armstrong cut a promo on the whole lot. Him and his badly grown-out mustache. Nico, just do Okada and White. Why is this so hard for them? Win Etheridge, I want Okada versus White in the main, mainly because I believe that Okada deserves an MSG main event. Donnie Pridmore, not having Okada in the main event of MSG would be a failure to capitalize on the opportunity. J.C. Myers, I love Ishii, and he's one of my favorites, one of the best today, but Okada is the one who's got to take that spot. Also, it's not good to take the title off of White so soon when building him as a credible tough guy. Tough call, really. Go to the phones. John in Arkansas. John, how are you?
Tough guy. Tough call.
Wake up, John.
Hey, Mike, I'm here.
What's going on?
Well, hearing this discussion about what we should do in New Japan, I would personally like to see Okada and Jay White. And let's have Okada finally put down Jay White. It won't hurt Jay White at all. You can always come back to it. It will give I think everybody's a winner in that situation. Now, if it's Ishii and White, you got a lot of fun stuff you could do there from the standpoint of you could do one of those unsavory wins. He's the perfect, I hate to use the word scapegoat in that situation, but he's the perfect guy to take a loss in that situation.
John, I want to thank you very much for the call. Just because, Brian's not here. NCAA men's wrestling tournament's taking place. Penn State's going to win another one. All their guys are cruising through right now. They've won 7 of the last 8 years, 3 in a row. Cale Sanderson just has done an unbelievable job. They're in the team lead right now over Ohio State by like 24 points leading into tonight. No surprise. Probably Saturday night comes, Penn State wins. We'll be back. Wrestling Observer Live. Lots of stuff happening this weekend. Semifinals, New Japan Cup, as we've been talking about. Tomohiro Ishii, Kazuchika Okada, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Seiya Sanada. It's going to be an interesting matchup, too. You give Sanada the win over Tanahashi there, and have him lose to Okada or Ishii. You could even have Sanada go all the way through. Just don't think that one's going to be tops on the list. I think that is the least possible scenario for the Madison Square Garden main event, is Seiya Sanada in there. But him defeating Tanahashi, it could definitely happen. Got a chance to see Kento Miyahara against Naoya Nomura. That's been hyped up a lot. If you have a chance, go out of your way to see that match. It may not be as great as it's being hyped up to be, but it certainly was excellent. And Nomura, they finally look like they have another guy to go along with Miyahara, a generational rival for him, which is something he desperately needs. We see that over in Noah, too. What do you got besides Nakajima? What you going to do? How much more can you do? And they have that right now. And I haven't seen the tag match that took place with Strong BJ and Suwama Nishikawa, but that was supposed to be pretty awesome as well, too. So hopefully before Sunday I'll get a chance to see that. UFC this weekend in Nashville, ESPN Plus 6 show there. Bunch of other stuff as well, too, and we'll catch you up on all of it over at WrestlingObserver.com. We will talk to you again after a while, or something like that. See ya.